In the sprawling city of New York, where the hustle and bustle of life never seemed to relent, lived a young woman named Sarah. Sarah, like many others, had always been intrigued by the allure of platforms like OnlyFans. However, her journey down that path would lead her to a chilling and terrifying encounter she could never have anticipated. Sarah was a talented artist, struggling to make ends meet in the unforgiving city. The stories of financial success she had heard from content creators on OnlyFans began to wear down her resistance, and she decided to give it a try. Little did she know that this decision would soon lead her into a nightmare. Sarah's OnlyFans account garnered attention quickly. Her artistic skills were a hit, and she had a small but dedicated fan base. Among her subscribers was a user with the cryptic name Eyes in the Shadows. This subscriber's comments on her posts were peculiar, filled with unsettling remarks that made her skin crawl. One evening, while Sarah was live streaming her art process, she noticed a message from Eyes in the Shadows. It read, "I see you, Sarah. I see every stroke of your brush, every line you create." The message sent a shiver down her spine, but she dismissed it as an overzealous fan. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She began receiving anonymous gifts at her doorstep: flowers, chocolates, and even a strange, handcrafted doll that bore an eerie resemblance to her. Each gift came with cryptic notes that hinted at an intimate knowledge of her life. Increasingly alarmed, Sarah sought help from her local authorities, but they could do little to trace the sender of these unsettling gifts. The harassment continued, and she could feel the noose of fear tightening around her. One night, as Sarah was preparing to go to bed, she received a notification on her phone from an unknown number. It was a video, shaky and dark, filmed from outside her apartment window. As the video played, her heart sank. It showed her moving around her apartment, unaware that she was being watched. Sarah's panic reached its peak. She felt trapped, vulnerable, and violated. She knew she had to act, but she had no idea who this stalker could be or how to stop them. The next morning, she received a chilling message on her OnlyFans account from Eyes in the Shadows. "You can't hide from me, Sarah. I know everything about you, and I'll always be watching." Terrified, Sarah decided to deactivate her OnlyFans account and delete all her social media profiles. She changed her locks, installed security cameras, and began taking self-defense classes. But the feeling of being watched never left her, and the nightmare only seemed to escalate. One evening, while home alone, Sarah heard a noise coming from the darkened hallway. Her heart raced as she crept toward the sound. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a man wearing a mask, his eyes gleaming with malice. In that horrifying moment, Sarah realized that her stalker had crossed a line, invading her sanctuary. She fought back with every ounce of strength, managing to escape his clutches and call the police. When the authorities arrived, they arrested the stalker, revealing his true identity. It was someone she had never suspected, a former co-worker who had become obsessed with her through her OnlyFans posts. As the legal proceedings unfolded, Sarah realized that the allure of online platforms like OnlyFans had come with a chilling and unexpected price. Her journey into the world of digital fame had attracted a stalker who had terrorized her life. Though her stalker was behind bars, the scars of the experience would never fully fade. Sarah had learned the hard way that sometimes the pursuit of online fame could lead to a descent into a nightmare that was all too real, where the line between reality and the virtual world blurred, and the shadows held terrifying secrets. In a tranquil suburb on the outskirts of a bustling metropolis, there lived a woman named Lily. She was a successful businesswoman who had always been drawn to the world of the internet. The allure of platforms like OnlyFans, with their promises of financial independence, finally led her to take the plunge into the digital realm. Lily's journey on OnlyFans started out well. Her charismatic personality and engaging content quickly attracted a large and devoted fan base. However, as her online fame grew, so did the pressures and expectations placed upon her. She found herself overwhelmed by the constant demands of her subscribers and the need to maintain her online persona. The stress began to take a toll on Lily's mental health. She struggled with anxiety and insomnia, unable to disconnect from the relentless digital world she had entered. She would spend sleepless nights replying to messages, posting content, and trying to keep up with the ever-increasing demands of her online audience. One night, as exhaustion gripped her, Lily began to experience vivid hallucinations. She saw shadowy figures moving in the corners of her apartment, heard voices whispering her name in the dark, and felt a sense of dread that seemed to seep from the very walls. Terrified and sleep-deprived, Lily's mental state began to deteriorate. She started experiencing blackouts, losing chunks of time during which she couldn't account for her actions. She would wake up with strange bruises and cuts on her body, with no recollection of how they had occurred. Lily's friends and family grew increasingly concerned for her well-being, urging her to seek help. She began therapy and was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, DID, a condition in which a person's identity is fragmented into two or more distinct personalities. Her alter egos emerged as coping mechanisms to deal with the overwhelming stress of her online life. As her mental health continued to decline, Lily's alternate personalities became more pronounced. Each had its own name and characteristics, and they would often take control of her body, leaving her feeling like a spectator in her own life. They would argue with one another, leaving her confused and disoriented. Lily's online presence became a reflection of her fractured mental state. Her OnlyFans account featured content created by her different personalities, each catering to a different audience. Her subscribers noticed the inconsistencies in her posts, but had no knowledge of the internal struggle tearing her apart. One evening, Lily received a chilling message from an anonymous user on OnlyFans. It read, "We see the fractured pieces of your soul, Lily. We know your darkest secrets." The message sent her into a panic. She couldn't tell if it was a real threat or a manifestation of her disordered mind. The line between reality and her fractured psyche blurred even further. As Lily grappled with her condition, she felt like a prisoner within her own body. She was haunted not by external stalkers, but by the torment of her own fractured psyche. The hallucinations, the blackouts, and the relentless demands of her online persona pushed her to the brink of madness. As her alternate personalities continued to wage an internal battle, Lily found herself lost in a surreal world where the boundaries between reality and her fragmented mind had dissolved. She longed for a way to regain control of her life and piece together the shattered fragments of her identity. In a small, nondescript town, there lived a woman named Laura who had always been curious about the allure of online platforms like OnlyFans. She had heard stories of the lucrative opportunities it offered, and as she struggled to make ends meet, she couldn't help but consider it. One rainy evening, while scrolling through social media, Laura stumbled upon a mysterious profile. It belonged to a woman named Isabella, who claimed to have discovered a way to unlock unimaginable wealth through her OnlyFans account. Her photos and posts hinted at a life of luxury, featuring expensive cars, lavish vacations, and opulent parties. Intrigued and desperate for financial stability, Laura messaged Isabella and asked for guidance. Isabella replied with a cryptic invitation, inviting her to join an exclusive online group called the OnlyFans Enigma. She promised Laura that the group held the secret to immense wealth and power, but it required unwavering dedication. Laura joined the group, and its members were an eclectic mix of individuals, all seeking financial freedom through OnlyFans. They introduced her to a complex initiation ritual involving candles, incantations, and a solemn vow of secrecy. Laura, fueled by desperation and curiosity, complied without hesitation. As the days passed, Laura followed the group's instructions to the letter, even though she couldn't help but feel uneasy. She began posting increasingly explicit content on her OnlyFans page, hoping it would lead to the promised wealth. One night, Laura received a message from Isabella, instructing her to perform a bizarre and unsettling act during a live stream. Despite her reservations, she complied, and her followers responded with a disturbing enthusiasm that sent shivers down her spine. But the more Laura sacrificed her dignity, the more the group demanded from her. Each task grew more horrifying, pushing her moral boundaries to their limits. Her once popular page attracted a growing number of deviant subscribers, and the comments became increasingly disturbing. Laura realized too late that she had fallen into a trap, a dark and twisted web of manipulation and control. The group's initiation had ensnared her in a nightmarish cycle of exploitation, and she couldn't escape. Fearful of the consequences, she continued to perform the gruesome tasks they demanded. One fateful night, after a particularly degrading live stream, Laura received a chilling message from Isabella. It simply said, "It's time to pay the price." Laura was horrified as her surroundings began to warp and distort. The room grew cold, and a presence filled the air. A sinister figure materialized before her, its eyes devoid of emotion, and it whispered, "You are mine now." Terrified and trapped, Laura knew that she had become a pawn in a sinister game, and her tormentors were not of this world. She was condemned to a life of endless suffering. Her only company, the sinister shadows that lurked in the corners of her room. As the days turned into weeks and Laura's spirit dwindled, she realized the true cost of her ill-fated journey into the dark realm of OnlyFans. In a quiet and unassuming neighborhood, there lived a woman named Evelyn. She was a seemingly ordinary woman, well-liked by her neighbors and known for her friendly demeanor. However, beneath her pleasant exterior lay a dark and chilling secret that had been lurking in the shadows for years. Evelyn had always been fascinated by the power of beauty and allure, and the allure of platforms like OnlyFans had beckoned to her for some time. She had heard stories of individuals gaining notoriety and wealth through their online personas, and she couldn't resist the temptation any longer. Little did anyone know that Evelyn's foray into the digital realm would take a sinister turn. Evelyn's journey on OnlyFans began innocently enough. Her initial posts were modest and garnered attention from a small but loyal group of subscribers. However, as the weeks turned into months, she became increasingly obsessed with her online persona and the admiration it garnered. The attention from her subscribers became an addiction, and she yearned for more. In her quest for online fame, Evelyn began posting increasingly explicit content, pushing the boundaries of her comfort zone. Her once loyal subscribers reveled in the transformation, encouraging her to go further. Evelyn's addiction to the thrill of online attention grew stronger with each passing day. But as the attention and praise intensified, so did her hunger for power and control. Evelyn began manipulating her subscribers, coercing them into sending her money and gifts in exchange for her favor. She reveled in the power she held over these individuals, exploiting their vulnerabilities for her own gain. As her online persona evolved, so did her offline behavior. Evelyn began to experience disturbing fantasies, fueled by her newfound sense of dominance. She began experimenting with the dark desires that had taken root within her, luring unsuspecting individuals into her web of manipulation. One by one, those who had fallen under her spell began to disappear. The police launched investigations into the mysterious disappearances, but Evelyn remained cunningly elusive. She disposed of her victims' bodies with a calculated precision, leaving no trace of her involvement. As the body count continued to rise, Evelyn's online presence became a mask that concealed her true nature. She reveled in the macabre thrill of her double life, the charming and friendly neighbor by day, the manipulative seductress and cold-blooded killer by night. Evelyn's actions grew more audacious with each passing crime. She left cryptic messages and clues on her OnlyFans page, taunting the authorities and daring them to uncover her identity. The media dubbed her the Siren of the Internet, a digital temptress who lured victims to their doom. The investigation intensified, with the police closing in on Evelyn's true identity. But she remained one step ahead, using her online presence to deflect suspicion and misdirect the authorities. Her subscribers, unaware of the horrors taking place behind the screen, continued to shower her with praise and gifts. As the pressure mounted, Evelyn's behavior grew increasingly erratic. Her online persona became unhinged, a reflection of the darkness that had consumed her. She posted cryptic messages and disturbing images, hinting at her escalating descent into madness. One fateful evening, as the police closed in on her location, Evelyn made her last desperate move. She invited one of her subscribers, a man named Mark, to her home under the guise of a private meeting. Mark, infatuated with Evelyn, accepted the invitation without hesitation. As Mark entered her home, he was greeted by an eerie silence. The walls were adorned with disturbing artwork and grotesque symbols, a reflection of Evelyn's unraveling mind. She led him into a dimly lit room where the chilling truth awaited. The police arrived just in time to find Mark tied to a chair, his eyes filled with terror. Evelyn, her online persona shattered, stood before them, a deranged smile on her face. She had finally been unmasked, but her reign of terror had left a trail of destruction in its wake. As the handcuffs were placed around Evelyn's wrists, she whispered a haunting confession, revealing the depths of her depravity and the twisted motivations behind her crimes. Her transformation from an ordinary woman into a serial killer, driven by the intoxication of online fame and power, sent shockwaves through the community. The story of Evelyn serves as a chilling reminder of the dark and dangerous allure of the digital world, where the pursuit of online fame and and validation can lead to a descent into madness and a trail of unspeakable horrors. It stands as a cautionary tale, a warning that the shadows of the internet can conceal the most sinister secrets, and that the line between the virtual and the real can blur with devastating consequences.